Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Youthman. In this video, we'll be looking at the Transparent One Encore powered speakers by Vanatoo. Now before we jump into the video, if you're into home theater, audio and video, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. Now I want to give a big thanks to Vanatoo for sending the Transparent One Encore speakers to review for you guys, and I also want to give a big thank you to all of my patrons. My patrons continue to provide monthly support for me on this YouTube platform, which allows me to do some extra and additional things apart from what you see here on this channel, such as behind the scenes footage, bloopers, as well as talking about some upcoming things that I'm working on. Now enough talking, let's get to unboxing. Inside the box you'll find a quick start guide, a remote with controls for various inputs such as volume as well as bass and treble controls, a really long proprietary speaker cable to connect both speakers to each other, a 3.5mm cable, USB cable, 3.5mm to RCA cable, rubber feet, magnetic speaker grills, and the speakers themselves. The front of each speaker contains a 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter and a 5¼ aluminum woofer. If we look on the back of the speakers, each speaker has a 5¼ long throw passive radiator as opposed to a standard port that you find in most speakers. The active speaker houses the internal amp, which provides 20 watts to each tweeter and 100 watts, yes that's right, 100 watts to each woofer. On the top of the amp, we have controls for volume, treble, as well as bass. Now this is really cool because it allows you to really refine the sound the way that your ears prefer to hear them. Over to the right we have the power switch as well as a proprietary plug that allows you to connect the active speaker to the passive speaker with the supplied cable. All you have to do is simply insert the speaker cable and then tighten down to secure. If you'd like to add some more bottom end to this setup, you can easily add a subwoofer using the sub pre-out. The Transparent One Encore has multiple inputs. We have one analog input for up to 24-bit 48 kHz, as well as USB, optical, and digital coax inputs for up to 24 bits at 96 kHz. Now one really slick feature is these inputs are auto switching, so the speakers will auto detect when the signal is being sent to them without the need to manually select a source. Now that's really cool. The LR switch allows you to determine which side the active speaker is placed in your setup. Now to pair the speaker via Bluetooth to your phone or maybe a tablet, it's really simple. All you have to do is press the pair program button on the back of the active speaker, then go into your Bluetooth settings in your device and click on Vanatoo T1E. Now for some advanced DSP settings, sleep modes, compression, as well as some Bluetooth settings and more, you can download the manual from their website for instructions using a combination of the volume knob, treble knob, bass knob, and the LR switch. Now one of the first things I noticed when I unboxed the Transparent Ones is they're actually quite heavy for their size. Now this is largely due to the cabinets being made using 3/4 inch MDF. Each speaker measures 10.5 inches high by 6.5 inches wide and 8 inches deep, and they weigh a solid 12 pounds. Now another great feature that I really like is the speaker grills are magnetic. The Transparent One Encore speakers are $5.99 for satin black finish, or you can get them in a really beautiful cherry finish with real wood veneer for $6.49. Alright guys, so the big question is, how do the Vanatoo Transparent One Encore sound? Well, to be honest with you, they sound really good. Honestly, I was really surprised that they sounded this good. Now, I would have never really considered the Vanatoo. Vanatoo, I had never heard of them, and maybe a lot of you guys have never heard of them as well. But Joe and Tel reached out to me as well as Techno Dad, and he said, guys, I've been listening to these speakers for a while, and they sound phenomenal for the size. Now, these aren't big, humongous speakers. They're not towers, but they're active speakers in a relatively small package, but they've just got a really great sound. Now, I do want to say these sound really good, almost like the closer you get to them. Sitting back here in my theater room, I've got a decent sized theater room here. So these aren't really meant to be in a big living room or a big open space. Definitely they'll fill that sound, but that's, I don't think, where their sweet spot is. To me, where I found the sweet spot, and I'm talking like this sounds really good, was about 3 foot from them, and I had them spaced out probably about 4 foot apart, 3.5 feet, somewhere around that range. So what I did is I began to listen to some different tracks and really just began to play with some toe in, which toe in basically is when you angle the speakers towards your listening area. So I have them toed in just a little bit, and I would position my head at ear level with the tweeters and move it forward until I got to this one small section, man. And it was about, like I said, it was about 3 feet from them, and it literally just enveloped me. I mean, I just closed my eyes, and the most realistic imaging, I mean, basically what I mean by that is it literally sounded like I had a center channel playing, and there were only 2 speakers. I mean, the sound was just beautiful right in here, and it just wrapped around my head, and I just found myself doing this right here. I'm listening to music, I got a smile on my face, and I'm just bobbing to the music, man. It was sweet. These have a great sound. Now, I could see these really being ideal for, like I said, maybe a bedroom setup. Maybe you want to add these to a kitchen, which a kitchen is going to be, again, depending on the size of your kitchen, maybe a little big for it. Or these would make really awesome computer speakers. Now, I've already tried to set it up in my computer setup, and I really don't have the room here at my home office, but at my normal 9-to-5 job, these are going there, because right now I've got some big Klipsch RB61 version 2s, and it's connected with a Harman Kardon receiver. And I really enjoyed the sound, but I've never been super satisfied with them being really close to my head. They're only a few feet away, and so it sounds good, but it's not that enveloping sound that I like. And these guys, they do that whole, oh man, I love it when a speaker just kind of envelops the sound around you, and it's almost like you're just sitting there in the middle of a concert, and it's just the waves of sound are just kind of washing over you. And so I really like the way that they sound in that regard. And again, you know, sitting back here and listening to it, it sounds good, but I wasn't like wowed until I got close. And then, guys, I'm telling you, the smile on my face, I just began to listen to it. And I had to run and get my son. I said, Jacob, you got to come check these out. And so I said, but I need you to do something. I need you to kind of kneel down, get about this close to them, and just listen to them. And I played one of his songs from John Bellion that he really loves. And I cranked it up too, man. So I cranked it up pretty good volume. And the same thing happened, man. He was doing this right here. He was like, oh yeah, man. And here's the deal, guys. When your head starts moving, that means that you're feeling it and you're connecting with it emotionally. And not every speaker can do that. Sometimes you'll listen to a set of speakers and go, okay, that sounds cool. Or, you know, you may tap your foot, big whoop. But when your body starts moving, man, to me, that just means it's engaging something in your emotions and in your soul, and you're connecting with this sound, and it's resonating with you on the inside, not just on the outside. And so that's what these Vanatoo Encore speakers do. Man, they just have a really great sound. And the other good thing that I really like about them is you have those tone controls. And so some of you guys like a little bit more bass. Now speaking of bass, these actually have a really good amount of bass. Now you're not going to get earth-shaking, you know, like subwoofer type of bass out of these, but they produce some really tight, clean, solid bottom end. Okay, they're not going to dig super deep. Again, you're going to need to add a subwoofer if you're wanting that. But man, just for that, just a nice, thick, kind of rich, deep bass notes. Some of the things that I noticed when I was listening to, especially some saxophone music. Anytime that a saxophone came in, you know how you got that really deep, I guess, baritone sax, and it's got that really low notes. Man, it just sounded really kind of meaty and thick, and you have control of how much of that bass you want with that bass control. Same thing for the top end. If it's a little too bright, you can always back down the treble. If it's not bright enough, you know, like my ears, I'm used to a brighter speaker, kind of more lively speaker with clips. A lot of my speakers are clips. And so, you know, for me, I turn it up just a little bit. I don't like cranking up the treble, but I like a little bit of brightness in it. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility to kind of dial these in to your ears and your liking. Everybody hears differently and everybody has different tastes and preferences when it comes to a speaker's sound and their signature. And so it's nice to be able to have that type of control in the sound from the Encores. Now, speaking of bass, I almost forgot this. This was pretty cool. Now, I remember when I first got the Encore set up and connected them, and I placed them here in my theater room on the top of my custom cabinet. And so I slid the bottom bass out just a little bit to have some more room. And so I placed them on there, and I put on some music that I was familiar with, and really I just wanted to kind of test them a little bit. I didn't go crazy with them, but I like seeing how loud they'll go. Are they, you know, the high is going to break up? Is the bass going to get muddy? Is it going to begin to distort? And so I cranked them up pretty decent volume, and you know, the woofer's pumping, and I'm just kind of bobbing my head. I'm like, all right, this is cool. And I wasn't paying attention, and I'm just like getting into the music, and I look down, and the speaker, no lie guys, the speaker is moving forward, and I'm like, oh no. And so I grab it and I push it back to keep it from falling, and I look over and the other speaker on the other side was doing the same thing. And so I had to play it back and just watch it. It was just physically moving because you've got that 5¼ inch driver in the front, 5¼ inch passive radiator in the back, and in conjunction, man, it's just moving a lot of air from this and providing a lot of movement. So the easy fix there is just install those little rubber feet, and then it doesn't move at all. But I just thought that was funny because I almost lost the speaker because it was sliding towards the edge and it was ready to do a nosedive. And so I'm glad I saw that and caught that before something bad happened to them. Now, quite a while back, I reviewed the SVS Prime wireless speakers. And some of you guys might be wondering, okay, these are about the same price. They're in that $599 price range, and so they're definitely very competitive. And so how would these compare to the SVS Prime wireless? Guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, these, hands down, sound better than the SVS Prime wireless. And there's several reasons, I think. Number one, they definitely have a lot more bottom end. Because of that 5¼ inch driver and the 5¼ inch passive radiator on the back, these have a lot more bottom end. That was like the biggest complaint with the SVS Prime wireless. They have a small 4½ inch driver, and they just don't produce a lot of bottom end. They almost need to have a subwoofer attached. These don't require a subwoofer. I think you can get great sound out of these as long as you're just not wanting to just slam, you know, and have a big, massive bottom end or dig super deep, because these aren't going to dig really deep. But if you just want some clean sound that has a good, solid bottom end, but not like overwhelming or boomy, these can handle that. These can do that quite well without a subwoofer, and you just can't do that with the SVS Prime wireless. A couple other things I like better about these: the auto switching. You don't have to worry about trying to, you know, manually get up there and change the controls, because the SVS doesn't come with a remote. And that was like one of my big complaints too. I'm like, man, it's kind of a pain, because if I've got, say for instance, I want to listen to sound coming through an optical cable because of my, you know, it's hooked up to my TV. And then if I want to switch to this, each time you switch those sources, you have to manually get up. And I know you may be saying, well, Michael, you're just lazy. Well, maybe I am, but I really like the convenience of being able to at least control it with the remote and switch between those sources. And these Encore speakers, they do that automatically for you. And so they'll sense the signal coming into it, and it'll automatically switch to that. And so that's a cool feature. And then the other thing is being able to adjust and kind of tweak and fine tune that treble and that bass. I really like to be able to dial that in based on my listening preferences and based on your listening preferences. And so, like I said, hands down, I don't even think there's like a big, well, they're pretty close. No, I think these are considerably better than the SVS Prime Wireless. And so, you know, it doesn't matter to me what you buy. If you're looking for some wireless speakers, if you like the looks of these and you want to check them out, man, I highly would recommend checking out Vanatoo. And so, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. If you're looking for some wireless speakers, definitely give the Vanatoos a try. At least check them out. Look on their website. Get some information on those. But I guarantee you guys, you're going to be pleased with their sound. Well, guys, as always, you have a great week. Be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.